Tucson and ASU are off to slow start. Should we be concerned? We'll talk about that coming up. Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Hockey Podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by Circle K. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com for details. Hit the like button. We have the Watts in the chat. We have Roaring Fork in the chat. We have Petey back in studio after a week hiatus.
Took a little break.
We have Shane behind the Mac. He's barking. We're hype.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy going on in the studios of PHNX today, and it's not me. Yeah, I don't have it. I haven't. It feels like when we do one show a week. By the way, do you know if we do one show a week? Like
I did know.
Don't leave home, and then I didn't do last week's show because God knows life gets in the way sometimes, as they say on TV. But here we are to talk hockey in Arizona because it still exists here.
Did you watch any of the MNBA last night?
The what?
The men's
National
Basketball Association.
Is that started?
That started last night.
No.
Bronny James, LeBron.
We wouldn't know because all 32 NHL teams were in action yesterday.
Frozen Friends yesterday.
It was.
Yeah, it's a brilliant idea, except it's a bad idea because there's a lot of it's every 15 minutes.
No,
a new game starts.
No, here's the thing. It's a brilliant idea. Yes. Why are you doing it on the Tuesday that the NBA starts? Why are you doing it on a Tuesday? Ooh. Why are you not doing it on a Saturday or people can sit all day and watch? I don't know.
Like Saturday's college football, Sunday's pro football, so we can't wait till January.
Yeah, wait till January.
Or maybe they'll do it again. Even on a Friday.
Why didn't they do it last week before the NBA was back? I don't know. It just
a Friday would work.
We know a guy who knows Gary. We don't because we don't have.
Yeah, Craig knows Gary, so
yes,
we can bring that up to him. Speaking of Craig of course does unbelievable work for our network for covering the Cardinals, but he's also written some great stories recently about Gary Bettman. He spoke to Gary Bettman at the Utah home opener. You can read that right now at gophnx.com. You must be a diehard to read that, PD, and
become a diehard right now.
Yeah, we have
now's the time.
An unbelievable offer right now.
You've been thinking about it? It's the time.
Breaking news, as Espo would say.
Breaking news.
Breaking. We have a unbelievable diehard offer right now, a limited time intro offer for just $48 for your first year. That averages out to just $4 a month, and that gets you a free shirt at sign up. It gets you 20% off merch and events. It gets you Discord access and access to all of our incredible content on the website on gophnx.com. The great work from Gerald covering the Suns. Sun season starts today. We have Craig covering the Cardinals, Jesse on D-backs, and so much more. So make sure you sign up today. You do not want to miss out on this offer. I couldn't be more excited. And what better time to become a diehard than in the midst of all the football seasons? We have Suns starting right now. And you never know, maybe once in a while there's some hockey stories on the site as well. So become a diehard today. Join the family. We always have a blast with our community, especially in the hockey Discord. So don't be shy. Come on.
Yeah, I think it's a great time. It is a great time, and you can get great shirts like Hockey Belongs in the Desert. You can.
It does.
But do you have that drawer at your house? And I know there's plenty of diehards that do. Do you have that drawer in your house that's just full of PHNX
Yep,
t-shirts?
I have a stack, and it's just PHNX. And there's more that I want, is the thing.
I have a section in my closet.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Hockey Belongs in the Desert, we're going to talk some desert hockey today, but it's not all butterflies here with the Roadrunners and Arizona State, and there's a lot of talk as well in the chat right now about Alex Meruelo. Trigger warning, Alex Meruelo. We are going to talk about him later in the show. We're going to talk about the ghost of the Coyotes hanging over the entire NHL. And we're going to talk about some slow start NHL teams as well. But let's get things started with Tucson, because Tucson off to a bit of a slow start, Petey. They're 1-3. They had their home opening weekend against the Texas Stars this past weekend. They went 0-2. They were swept in their home opening weekend, which was extremely unfortunate. More unfortunate than that even is that they blew a 3-1 lead in both games. On Saturday, the Roadrunners were up 3-1. They were tied at 3-3 after 2, so they blew a 3-1 lead. It was tied, whatever, anyone's game. Then they were up in the third, and then Texas scored 3 unanswered goals to win 6-4 on Saturday. Sunday, similar story, up 3-1 heading into the third, and Texas scored 3 unanswered goals in the third to win 4-3.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when we talk about the American League team. You're kind of subject to whatever the roster of your big club provides you. And I think that's one of the things that started off this Tucson Roadrunners season on the wrong foot. And one of the reasons is the big club kept extra forwards. And right now, if they get one more healthy player, they're going to have a full line of extra forwards up at the big club, which really makes the American League team suffer. And they should have one more offensive weapon down there in Tucson. And I believe they're going to get one soon. I believe in the next week, you're going to see that them getting some support on the front end, which will help. And I think we know in this, and especially in the American League, you need to have that balanced scoring where they're able to put points on the board, and they just don't have it right now. They don't have the offensive upside. And so if you don't have the offensive upside, you better defend. Well, this is a team that was going to be built on their defending, and unfortunately, injuries at the other club have caused some roster changes there. The one good thing, though, and we talk about slow starts, I did get a chance to communicate with head coach Steve Potvin, and we've had him on the show so many times. We know he's the most positive guy out there. And he's like, what a great guy, coach he is at sending messages to his players of positivity and hope. Well, he gave me that same speech, and they're so close. With the losses after being up 3-1, there were a lot of positives. They just couldn't hold the lead, and those are a lot of mistakes by young players. Young players in those situations tend to make more mistakes than a veteran guy. They need to play more games. So he said that's one of the issues that they can overcome. And yeah, he did say they need some help. And I think when I told him that they're going to have to make some changes, he says they need offensive help. Yeah. But he does think they're going the right directions. He likes where they've been going in practices. He likes what he sees from his young players. So he thinks the season is going to get much, much better as the season goes along. Yeah, the point about youth is a good one. And this is something that we've been looking forward to this year's Roadrunners team in particular, because you're finally getting that influx of prospects now, unfortunately, Utah prospects rather than Coyotes prospects, but Maverick Lamoureux, who we'll talk about in a bit. You have Julian Lutz, unfortunately, he's been out with injury to start the season. Artem Duda, Mikko Matika, like these are the guys that we've kind of been waiting to see in that Roadrunners uniform as they get better and get ready to take that next step in the NHL. And when you really look down the roster, I mean, there's those names that we've seen for a few years now. Ben McCartney, you have Kevin Connaughton, who's a vet, who's played in the NHL as well. He's new to the Roadrunners this year. You have Aku Ratu, who's returning, but it's not like this is a veteran team. Right. There's a lot of new guys here, and they have some injury, and like you said, the forward situation. So I think for Roadrunners, we can confidently say it's too early to be freaking out, but just blowing a 3-1 lead 2 nights in a row in your home opening weekend, it's just a tough pill to swallow, I think. Yeah, but they're right back on the horse this weekend. They have home games again, and that's where you have to play well. And so if you're in Tucson, stop out Friday, Saturday. They play Bakersfield, undefeated, by the way, 2-0-1. The Bakersfield Condors, the minor league team of the Edmonton Oilers. It's a tough task. I mean, Bakersfield's one of the top teams in the Pacific year after year, but Saturday night, October 26th, at the TCC, Leah, it is Ghouls and Goals night. That's amazing. So if you want to partake at the TCC at Ghouls and Goals, and buddy, if you've been to a game at the TCC, what better place to have Ghouls and Goals? Wow. So dress up, go take in a Roadrunner game, grab some donuts, have fun.
We had a lot of diehards at the Roadrunners home opening weekend tweeting photos
of their donuts.
Of the donuts.
I forgot. Do you remember who had the chocolate drizzle? It's aggressive. Aggressive move. Stick with the cinnamon sugar, you first-time users. It's a gateway.
Oh, man. But another note, speaking of the young guns coming up, we've been excited to play. One of those guys is Maverick Lamoureux. He was the first-round draft pick in 2022, I think drafted 29th overall. Huge defenseman, someone we've been looking forward to, somebody we've seen at development camp, dealt with some injuries. He finally comes, and he has a big opening weekend for the home opening weekend. He scored his first professional goal over the weekend, so congrats to Mavlam. Scored a goal in both games, and he's a defenseman. And you're thinking, wow, like this is really exciting. And he gets called up today. So short-lived excitement for Tucson. I mean, the big club is dealing with some gruesome injuries to their blue line.
Yes.
Do you see this being a long-term thing or just kind of a
It's hard to say that, though.
Yeah.
Mavlam's a guy that Maverick Lamoureux thought he would see. I thought he'd get a few games in the NHL this season, but I thought it would be later in the year. I thought it would be a reward for him performing well through the season and developing and going, hey, you've done a great job. Here's a couple of games in the NHL. That's what I thought was going to happen. Just like every season, you can't foresee injuries, and the big club has had so many problems, and not just little. Like Jersey had surgery. He's out for 5 to 6 months. Marino out 3 to 4 months. There's a gap.
Yeah.
So what I think is going to happen? Kosh.
No. Like something like that. We have the pronunciation. Craig would be yelling at us right now.
But he was sent back down to Tucson today. I think my guess would be that you're going to see more of a rotating defenseman pool there. But we said that about Dylan Gunther. We said that about Josh Doan.
Even Kesselring, honestly.
Kesselring.
Speaking of a big
everyday
defenseman,
NHL defenseman in the NHL now. So do I think Maverick Lamoureux will be back at Tucson at some point? I do. Having said that, somebody's got to play. Like when you have 2 major injuries, somebody's got to play. And maybe if he gets ice time and he looks like he fits, I think he'll play longer. If he goes up and he has that up and down that you kind of expect from a new player, I think he'll be back down here in Tucson. And I think you'll get to see other players rotating through that spot. And a guy here, the reality is, like a guy like Kevin Connauton, experienced NHLer, but Kevin Connauton can also sit out some nights, and it's not going to affect him.
Yeah.
You don't want Maverick Lamoureux sitting
you're trying to develop him.
Yeah, so I think right now they have 6 guys. Now you have 7, adding Mavlam. And now, is that going to be a rotation? Is Mavlam going to be in the lineup every night and Robert Bortuzzo comes out? If it's a rotation, I would expect to see him get a taste, see what he does, know what he needs to work on, and reward him for his performance, and then get him back down to Tucson where he can play important minutes and develop. And a player like Kevin Connauton, who can be a 7th defenseman in our lineup, would go up with the big club. So I think Mavlam will be back. I think it's just an opportunity for him to play, especially when they have some home games at the big club.
Yeah, I think, and not that this is ever taken into consideration at all, nor should it be, but for the fans in Tucson, I hope that he is back, because he's a really young, exciting player to watch. So I hope for the fans' sake that they get to see more of him. And obviously, whatever player comes back on the forward lines to Tucson, we will keep track of that as well. And hopefully we'll be able to touch base with Steve Potvin on this show sooner rather than later, because I feel like it's been way too long since we've talked to him. But before we move on from Tucson, there's one thing that we haven't talked about regarding Tucson, and it's about the jerseys. So we were, when you have an AHL team, they always wear the patch of their big club. Yes. And for so long, obviously, it was Coyotes, the Kachina, and it worked. Yes. Coyote and Roadrunner. Like what? I mean, it's a classic combination.
Yes.
And we were thinking, okay, this is going to be weird. So we saw this photo going around last week of the Utah patch on the Roadrunners jersey.
You said the U word, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It's a Utah patch. Okay, there's a couple things about this. Number one, it does not, the blue on the black and red and orange, like, no. The color scheme, it's not for me. It does not work. It feels weird. Then the other shoulder is like the giant AZ patch. Look familiar? it kind of looks like the AZ on Alex Meruelo Jr.'s fashion line. Oh yeah, Alex Meruelo still owns the Tucson Roadrunners.
That's right.
How's this for irony? He lost his team to Utah. He still owns the Roadrunners, and the patch of the team that he lost is on the team that he owns shoulder. So many things wrong with that image. So many things wrong. And that just hurt to see.
We'll get more into that later and the relationship between those two entities. But for me, the jersey thing, I'm all about like the color thing and the color scheme. It's funny that the minor league team here, when there was a professional team here, the Coyotes, their minor league team rarely had anything to do with the big club. Like you see the Springfield Falcons were blue and white, and then they were the Utah Grizzlies for a year, which were green, and then they were in San Antonio, which was also blue. They finally got it right because they put it under the same ownership umbrella, and it all melded. The logos looked similar, the colors were similar. By the way, you could use the helmets and gloves at both, which is brilliant savings, by the way, because you could take your. But that's a whole nother stand issue. But now you look at it and I will say this. It ain't going to last long like this.
No.
And I don't know what it's going to look like, but it ain't going to be this.
Nope. And we will talk more about that
later
in the show. We have another team in the Valley or in Arizona that's off to a slow start. ASU has started their season 1-4-1. What is going wrong there? We will get to that after this break on PHNX Hockey. Well, PD, fall is finally here.
Yes.
But the sun is always out here in Arizona.
It is.
And you know what?
And in your heart.
And in my heart. And you know what? We finally got our shipment of Shady Rays, and I am so excited. I finally got my brand new pair of Shady Rays. People, like, all week in the office were like, where's my Shady Rays? Like, this is how excited people are about Shady Rays. That's how good these glasses are. I got mine. I'm so excited. They're an unbelievable style. Everywhere I've seen them, the style is so expensive, but not Shady Rays. Not only are they affordable, they're durable. They're the polarized, which is great for your eyes in this bright Arizona sun that we live under. So make sure you check out Shady Rays if you're looking for some new sunglasses. If you're somebody who maybe loses them or breaks them, why spend a ton of money when you can buy Shady Rays? They're great quality. They come in so many different styles and colors. And as we approach the holiday season here, they make an unbelievable gift as well. So check them out exclusively for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. We actually have a watch party coming up this week, PD. I don't know if you knew. We're watching the Phoenix Suns play on Friday out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass, my favorite place to get together and watch games, partly because they have those giant screens all over the place. They have unbelievable food. Plus, there's so much to do there, whether you're looking to check out the casino floor, you want to spend the night in their resort, you want to have a great dinner at one of the restaurants. And that's just at Wild Horse Pass. They have locations all over the Valley. We love our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I know PD is big on all the concerts. They also have comedy shows. I don't know if many people knew that, which is a really cool thing that they have. It's not just concerts. So whatever you're looking for, Gila River has an experience for you. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. All right. Moving on to the Sun Devils. I think, we've talked a lot about ASU. Their disappointing split in their opening weekend of the season. Their disappointing weekend against Michigan that was kind of saved by having a tie, but not really, because in the standings it doesn't matter. They were headed to Providence. We thought this is a huge weekend. And they lost. Lost both games. The first one 4-1, the second one 2-1 at Providence over the weekend. What's going on with ASU?
There's a lot of things going on with ASU. And the biggest thing that they've had a concern with right out of the gate, we talked about it when we went to the initial press conference with Greg Powers, was they had some injury problems. They were excited about what they got in the portal, And one of the biggest pieces they got in the portal was Cruz Lucius from the Wisconsin Badgers. Still haven't seen him play. He's not on the ice. And he's going to be one of the most dynamic players on this ASU team when he finally gets to play. And he's not playing yet. And he's not playing anytime soon. So Cruz Lucius, I think their biggest problem has been injuries. The good news, and this is where we try to put on that little sunshiny, hey, things are going to be okay, is they're finally getting some players back into the roster. They're heading to Northern Michigan this weekend. Northern Michigan's got a new coach. They're a younger team. They're freshmen and sophomores. I think ASU's experience and depth is finally going to be able to get a couple wins. And one of the biggest players coming back is Artem Schlein. Yes, that is a Russian name, Artem. He's a Russian kid that actually transferred from Northern, so he's heading back to Northern this year. He was second on the team with the Wildcats last year with 23 points last year. He had a face-off percentage that was tops with the Wildcats. But what he brings to the Sun Devils is some size up front.
Yeah, they don't really have that.
Some size up the middle. So with Artem, you're getting a guy that's physically bigger and get to the front of the net. They haven't been able to penetrate tight to the net offensively this season. They've got a lot of small, skilled forwards, and I think Artem Schlein is going to help get them back to where they can get some offense. And another guy coming back is Charlie Shane. Charlie Shane is coming back, played on last year's team. And last year he gets 24 points in 33 games. So he's another offensive skilled guy that can skate. This team has been lacking offense. The players that have been on injured reserve, as it were, are their skilled guys. So I think they're going to see some offense coming back. And I think that's something that's sorely been missing from this ASU lineup. So when I talked to Coach Powers, he says there are better days ahead.
All right. Same vibes from Powers and Potvin. Yeah. And that's why I know it's early and that's why we're thinking, oh my God, is the sky falling? He's in deep trouble because the schedule only gets tougher when conference play starts. So they have their weekend coming up at Northern Michigan and then it starts. Colorado College is their first opponent that they're playing in the NCHC. Omaha, Denver, Minnesota, Duluth. These are all, notable teams. That's part of the thing about joining the NCHC. Yeah. This is a really, really good conference. So you almost wish that they could have banked some wins against the non-conference teams. And not to say that they played Michigan, for crying out loud. It's not like they were playing gimme games, but it's just unfortunate because you want to set yourself up in a good position. But what they do have going for them, as you mentioned, is these players coming back from injury, and hopefully that can help.
Yeah, but it's not just that. There are a couple of other bright spots that I want people to take note of. And net, Gibson Homer, I know he struggled a little bit last weekend in Providence. He was really good against Michigan. But Gibson Homer, to me, when you watch this kid play, 6'5", he's a prototypical NHL goaltender. I think this kid's going to play. I think he's going to play in professional hockey.
Wow.
Now, does he make it to the NHL? I don't know. This kid's going to play. He moves extremely well. He is going to be a guy that gets this team wins. He just has to get that consistency this season, because he showed up last season. And two other players. We talked about Cullen Potter, one of the most dynamic, expected to be a first-round pick this year, as advertised with his speed. Again, though, he's 17. So he's going to have those up and downs, those defensive zone lapses, those mistakes he makes, those turnovers. But when he is good, he's really good. And we saw that with his game against Michigan, how well he played. And lastly, I want to talk about Noah Beck. Noah Beck's a transfer defenseman they got in from Clarkson. Big body guy, physical, but also offensive. He got 9 points on the season this year. He had 9 points all of last year in Clarkson. He already has 9.
Yeah,
ASU.
And I think, wasn't he leading the NCAA for a minute? And
he was, and I think he's one of the defensemen that you're going to see nationally. They're going to be talked about as the season progresses. So there are still some bright spots there. It's going to get tougher, but I think they're going to get better. Let's give a little hope, CWP, that ASU can dig themselves out of this one.
Yeah, because, I'm wearing my Hockey Belongs in the Desert shirt. I feel strongly about it. We've been encouraging people to support the Sun Devils and support the Roadrunners. It's just a tough pill to swallow when it's a tough start for both teams. It's hard to rally around and get excited. And it's interesting because there was a whole debate in our Discord yesterday. Did you jump ship to another NHL team? What's your status? And a lot of people are just having trouble getting into the NHL, including myself. So it's easy, if you're still a hockey fan, to turn to these other teams. Well, it's hard to turn to a team that isn't necessarily winning and giving you something to be excited about. So I'm hoping that both of these teams can take a turn for the better here. Going forward, we'll continue to cover them all season long. Obviously, they're Arizona's hockey teams now. So kind of some pressure on their shoulders. And I'll just say it blatantly. I hope they feel the pressure a little bit, and I hope they can live up to, I think, what a lot of fans here in the desert need from them.
Yes.
But we will pivot now to the NHL.
Whoa.
Because we talked about the Frozen Frenzy already, all 32 teams playing yesterday. We kind of touched on it last week when you weren't here, just some of the surprises and disappointments of this NHL season so far. But since we're on the subject of slow starts, I thought we should maybe zero in on one or two. And I want to start with the Nashville Predators, because this was a team that we all sat here in the Central Division preview and said, this is a playoff team. Like, they've got so much better. Again, they've played 6 games, so anything can happen. It's so early. But Nashville just won their first game of the season last night. Yes. Much to my chagrin, UC Saros is one of my fantasy goalies, and it has been painful for me. They finally won yesterday, but what do you've watched Nashville?
Yeah, I watched Nashville play a lot. And one of the things with the Nashville Predators, it's funny, they're first in the National Hockey League in shots for per game. They got more than 36 shots on goal per game, but they have the lowest shooting percentage in the entire league. They're getting opportunities, they're getting chances, they're not capitalizing, and they're getting frustrated, and they're getting angry, and the good players are trying to do it all by themselves. And it's not working. You watched them play against Boston last night, much looser. They were much better around their own net, much better defending, and now guys are getting and breaking through offensively. Stamkos now has his first goal on the power play. Marchessault has his first goal on the power play. Neither one has a 5-on-5 goal yet. This team is playing better than the schedule reflects. Saros has struggled. He was lights out in a 33-save shutout against Boston. I'm not worried about Nashville. The problem is they lose 5 games. You've got to dig out of that in a hurry. So I would expect Nashville to go on a little bit of a tear. Not worried about Nashville. Tough start. This is still a really, really good hockey team. And I think you're going to see them start to rise in the standings. It's not like the last, I read the last 0-5 team to make the playoffs was like 20 or 30 years ago. But when you research those teams, they're bad teams. This isn't a bad team. It's a good team that's just fell into some tough circumstances. So I think Nashville's on the way up, and I think it's going to happen quickly.
Yeah, another team on the way up since we last talked about them is the Colorado Avalanche, who started their season 0-4. Things were looking very dire. I know they also have had some injury issues, but luckily for them, they've won 3 straight games. They seem to be back on the up, but not a conventional start for a Colorado team that is still, I think, in their Stanley Cup window.
We've said it on this show for how many years? Get a goalie. Like I just out of my mind. Oh no, the guy last year, Georgiev, he was an all-star. He wasn't. He was voted in the all-star game because your fans voted for him based on wins, not on performance, goals against, or save percentage. His numbers this year are atrocious. He does not give that team a chance to win. And no matter how well their forwards play and how many goals this team can score, and they can score goals, until they figure out a way to stop the bleeding, they are not going to win. Annunen, he played last night. Fantastic. He will be their starting goalie on Thursday. You wait and see. It's like, you are our last hope, Obi-Wan. That's kind of where they're at with Annunen, because their goaltending's been horrific. That's their only problem. Nathan McKinnon looked otherworldly last night in the Frozen Frenzy. He was phenomenal. He and McCarr's leading the league in points right now. McCarr and McKinnon look like they did when they won the Cup that year.
Yeah, I can't believe McCarr's leading the whole league.
It's unbelievable.
He's a defenseman.
But
14 points.
He looks like the old McKinnon. And that's why if this team, Arturi Lehkonen, can get back. I'm tired, by the way, DNVR guys, tired of hearing about the excuse about injuries. Tired of it. Like, buddy, look around the league. Everybody's hurt. Oh, Arturi Lehkonen's hurt. He's your second line center. Relax, Francis.
Second line center was kind of a big thing for this.
Go around the league and see who's hurt. So I'm tired of that excuse. It's gone. No more talking about injuries. Landeskog hasn't played since they raised the Cup 2 years ago. 2 complete seasons off. So we can't count him anymore. I'm tired of hearing Landeskog injured. Done. Devon Taves is back in the lineup. Colorado is better, but they will not win. I'm going to say it here again. Clip the receipts. Colorado will not win anything until they shore up their goaltending. The time to trade is now. Get John Gibson out of Anaheim.
Okay.
Hot take.
I like it. Well, I'm going to keep you on the hot take train because I know one of your favorite things to do is hate on the Edmonton Oilers, who for the second straight year are having a tough go out of the gate, 2-4-1. They have a -13 goal differential, which is the second worst in the NHL behind only the bottom of the barrel San Jose Sharks. Yeah, tough start for the Oil. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny. Connor McDavid, heard of him? No goals in the first 4 games, longest he's ever gone at the start of a season in his career. Don't worry, he's going to score a ton of goals. This team isn't deep enough. They're the oldest team in the National Hockey League last year that's built on speed. Well, guess what? When you're the oldest team in the league, you're not fast anymore. Dylan Holloway, they lost to St. Louis Blues in that acquisition that they made on the offer sheet, hurt them. Dylan Holloway is a bottom 6 player that they need to play Edmonton Oilers style hockey. They can't play it right now. They can't play fast enough. You've got too many guys over 30 years old, including Corey Perry, who's 39. Hey, buddy, you want to have the fastest team in the league? Don't put Corey Perry on it. Again, and the goaltending's been inconsistent. Skinner, and I know when I talked to DJ Bean at What Chaos, loves the Oil Man, loves Skinner, and he thinks Skinner will be there. Skinner struggled out of the gate last year. He's struggling out of the gate this year. This team isn't scoring at the bunches like they did before because they're not deep enough. McDavid, Draisaitl will always be there. Bouchard will always be there. They'll have those guys getting the points that they need. It's do they have the accompanying players at the bottom 2 pair at defense and at the bottom 6 forwards to make this work? And I'm just not convinced that they do. I've said it before. Edmonton's not going to the Stanley Cup. They're not winning the Stanley Cup, and they're not winning the Western Conference. We'll see. It's a playoff team. They will get better. They will get wins just because they're talented enough to do that. But it's not deep enough to be winners.
Yeah, well, I love to see the teams that everybody picks like not do well.
Yeah, well, Paul said it.
Yeah.
Edmonton. You go watch any show and see if I ever said they were going to win.
No, you've been on. That's why I said you've been on the hater train.
Yep. You've
been on the hater train of the Edmonton Oilers. Let's just flip it around really fast to the top.
Okay.
Will the Winnipeg Jets ever lose?
Wow. I got this one wrong. I said they were going to go through a little bit of a stumbling block with the change in coach from Bonus to Arneal. I thought they'd stumble a little bit out of the gate. I was wrong. But one of the biggest reasons is what I've said is teams need a good goaltender. And Connor Hellebuck is the best goalie in the National Hockey League. And I've said that before, and I say it again. This is a team that's really come together, and they've got a lot of good players. We talk about depth. This is a team that can score by committee. They can play any way. They can play fast. They can play heavy. They can defend. I like the Winnipeg Jets a lot. And they've caught fire early in the Central Division that I think is going to be a dogfight, this division. It's going to be incredibly hard. They're going to win a lot of games at home. Winnipeg's going to be one that you're going to see at the top of the standings in the Central for a very long time this year.
Roaring Fork said Winnipeg still can't sell out their building. And it's true that their attendance, despite the 6-0 start, has been cause for concern. And I'm not ever going to sit here and say, oh my God, but that's a concern because if a team is winning and not selling out and it's the smallest building in the league, and again, there's so many factors at play. There's economics, there's the
population.
Population, the price.
Yep.
There are diehard hockey fans in Winnipeg. It's just interesting to me.
It is, but I don't want people to sit there, and I've read that a lot of places. Oh, they're moving. They're not moving again.
No,
it's not happening.
And I don't want them to.
It's not
they
a team
shouldn't.
That's going to leave. There is an economic issue in the city of Winnipeg where the ticket prices are pricing some people out of that market. It's reality, and I think you're going to see as this team continues to win. I think you are going to see those seats getting full. It's like anywhere you go through those ebbs and flows in a season to season. And I think Winnipeg went through that where they were at the top of their game and expected to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals and be that kind of a team. And it just didn't happen. And I think you saw attendance slide there. I do think you're going to start seeing their attendance pick up again. To Leah's point, there's so many factors. And I don't see the Winnipeg Jets moving. I also see them having a very good year.
Yeah. And I hope that they do, because they are a smaller market team. They've been underestimated so many times. And I want to see them have success. And I feel similarly about seeing Calgary have the start they're having. I don't necessarily think it's sustainable, but just after everything, they went through with, similar to Columbus with the Johnny Gaudreau situation, all the uncertainty about their building, just having disappointing years. Happy to see them have a good start too. And then another team who is kind of proving you wrong right now is Minnesota, who is a 4-0-2 start. Petey picked Minnesota to finish last in the Central, by the way.
Just wait.
Any other teams surprise you out of the gate?
No, with Minnesota's interesting. I think they're getting some real puck luck right now. And we talked about, one of the fears I had was their goaltending being good enough. Gustafson's been good, and he's made a difference there. We'll see. Spurgeon's injury, I said injuries were going to be a problem for the Minnesota Wild, and right now they've been able to win even without Spurgeon in the lineup. We'll see. It's a long year. I still think Minnesota is missing a lot of things. What I am excited about, though, is how competitive the league is right now, and how many teams, South Florida and Florida is one of the teams coming off a Stanley Cup win, but they're not rolling through the league right now. You're seeing competitive games on a night in, night out basis. Teams are winning 3-4 in a row and then losing. It's really competitive. So right now, we're a few weeks into the season, and I think there's so many teams that don't know what they are yet.
Yeah.
They're still trying to figure out who they are.
It's one of those where if you took a screenshot of the standings today and then maybe in January did it again, it might be very different. It's still so early in the season. Everyone's trying to work it out. But hockey's at its best, honestly. It's really cool. It's cool to see the parity in the league. I think that's something that NHL has over a lot of the other professional leagues. We still have a ton to talk about. We're going to talk about the ghost of the Coyotes. We're going to talk about fashion designers. We're going to talk about Alex Meruelo and maybe some rumors as well. All of that is coming up on PHNX Hockey.
Blue Chews, well, the first impressions are important. That's what they say. Well, what about lasting impressions? That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chews help boost your confidence in the bedroom so you can stay hard and perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients that you'll find in Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com. Consult with one of their medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Guess what? All done online. No doctor's visits, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Does it work? Don't think you need it? Guess what? Blue Chew, you can try it a month for free, and you're going to love it. Your partner is going to love it even more. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout and pay just $5 for shipping. That's bluechew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Absolutely. And speaking of big decisions, redoing the floor in your home, it's a big decision. It's a big commitment. It's expensive. So you want to make sure that you're doing it right. You're getting the best deal possible, and the work is being done the best it possibly can be. And that's where Empire Today comes in. Not only can you shop right from the comfort of your home, no big box stores. They really care about the quality of their installation. They care about the quality of their flooring. And that is what matters most of all when you are making a huge renovation to your home. So if you've been on the fence, I highly recommend giving Empire Today a call, because you can schedule a free in-home estimate. Might as well just get the estimate, And right now, all listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use the promo code PHNX. Restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/PHNX for details. All right. Petey.
Yes.
So it's the Frozen Frenzy yesterday.
Yes.
And I see it all on social. It's the Frozen Frenzy. It's again, and I'm thinking, well, it doesn't feel right to me because it's all the teams. I'm still having a hard time accepting that the Coyotes aren't a part of that. And I was thinking, it just doesn't have the same feeling to me. Like, how is it the Frozen Frenzy if the Coyotes aren't in it?
Yeah.
Well, the Coyotes somehow snuck their way.
They did.
Into the Frozen Frenzy in a very unconventional way. And shout out the people of Twitter for finding this. How about this? a little Go Coyotes pop-up on the Detroit Red Wings New York Islanders feed on the FanDuel Sports Network. Okay, like, it's not even like this is a Utah game, first of all. Detroit Islanders, Patrick Kane scores to put the Red Wings up 1-0, and Go Coyotes pops up on the screen. What is happening?
It is truly the hockey gods at work. And there is a ghost in the machine, as it were. And I don't know if they're going back to Patrick Kane and his epic years for the Arizona Coyotes, because he was a member of this franchise for a few hours. And maybe that's what did it.
Coyotes legend.
This absolutely makes no sense. Like, no sense. It's not like somebody had a mistake in their graphics machine. Like, somebody had this up. Like, somebody in that truck.
My favorite part is, I don't know if this was the case when it was Bally's here, but it doesn't even say goal. Like Coyotes goal.
Yeah, because if it said goal, you could understand maybe there was a slip up,
an error of some type.
They accidentally hit the wrong.
They're just saying go Coyotes.
Go Coyotes.
Go.
Like,
I love it.
My tinfoil hat theory. No, my tinfoil hat theory is that somebody working for that network is a Coyotes fan, and if you are watching, please reach out anonymously or reach out and I will keep you anonymous because I am wondering.
Yeah, I think we need investigative journalism here.
I do too.
That's where we need Craig Morgan to get deep
Craig
undercover.
has nothing else going on, so we might as well ask him to do this.
It is so funny. And thank goodness people saw that, because I actually saw the clip live.
Nick said, was this UP?
Yeah, if I could, I would. I'm the technology guru that I am. I couldn't pull that up. But you're right. I do think there's something. It's close to Halloween. Maybe there's something supernatural going on.
I mean, I love it. It was kind of like especially me thinking that all day. It's really not the Pros and Friends without the Coyotes and the Coyotes, and the ghost of Coyotes past. Yeah, there and the conspiracy theories were flowing online.
It's
like,
too much.
Did the NHL misses the Coyotes?
Yes.
They just want listen.
Don't we all?
Anytime we can talk about the Coyotes, we're going to do it, even if it's a little Chiron.
Leah, what are the people in Quebec and Houston, and who do they get to yell at? And poverty franchise. Wait, but who is next? Yeah, but they need us to be the bad guy. There is no hero without a villain.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that one made me laugh. It was the Mullet Magician.
Abracadabra. We wondered where he went. Maybe he could be working in a TV truck. We kind of thought he was.
Yeah, we don't know what happened to him.
But
we do not know where he went and what happened to him. I hope he's doing well.
We don't know.
He's not.
He's not.
He's not doing
I think I saw him the other day.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Ghost of Coyotes Past, this was another one that brought back some memories, and it actually had to do with the Pittsburgh Penguins. They made an announcement last week that they announced that designer John Geiger, they're doing a creative partnership during the 24-25 season. The first drop is November 2nd. This week comes out, and all of us shuddered. We all shuddered because we've seen this before, Petey.
I know.
A fashion designer collab with an NHL team. How did that go last time?
So John Geiger, as we talk about John Geiger, I've been told, local guy. Local to the
Pittsburgh?
Community, to
Okay.
Pittsburgh. So that they're saying, because I might have said some things on the internet and some people told me things back. And one of these, well, John Geiger is a native and actually is part of this community. Great. The exciting news, not that Pittsburgh stinks again and not going to make the playoffs and Tristan Jarry shouldn't be in the league. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about fashion again. The good news is the first drop, it's a drop, by the way, for you people of my age. It's called a drop. They're dropping.
They're dropping that drip.
On November 2nd. The first drop is just after Halloween. So get excited, because as you go to John Geiger's site, you know hockey fans can't wait to buy an $85 t-shirt. Because when you go to John Geiger's site and you want a t-shirt, $85 for a t-shirt. Maybe it's great. John Geiger, I'm telling you, I'm not your customer, a 56-year-old guy. I'm not a John Geiger customer. He mostly does shoes and handbags, designer tennis shoes. Like, yes, I'm guessing there's going to be some Pittsburgh Penguin themed tennis shoe as part of the initial drop. Just going to guess. But when you're paying $220 for a flannel shirt, is that what the hockey market needs? Is that kind of a fashion collab? The league will tell you yes.
Yeah. And I will say the one thing Pittsburgh has going for it versus the Coyotes is that it's a stable franchise.
I like the laugh because it was rumored to have been moving until Mario saved the day at one point. They were going to be in Nashville at one time.
And then Sid saved them again.
Yeah, they're not leaving it as a stable franchise and a stable ownership. I get all that.
But they are a little on the down. Like if this was, I don't know, what's a team on the rise that's stable? Vegas.
Yeah.
Like if it was like a Vegas fashion line,
but
I could
wouldn't
see
it fit in Vegas? Like I wouldn't even be surprised if Vegas came out with a fashion line. I wouldn't.
No, me either.
It's Vegas.
It fits, yeah.
Like it does fit. New York Rangers, some guy on it's New York. It's the fashion mecca of the United States. I get it. Makes sense. I just don't know if when I think fashion, I think Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
we'll see. And I know John Geiger's watching the show today because but they turn to me for their fashion advice. I'm an inspiration for a lot of these designers. So I do think that Geiger fashion, and I'm teasing about $85 t-shirts. I know that's the new thing, and I know that's what kids do today. They want to look at. So we'll see. I'm just not convinced that I understand the marriage of fashion, culture, and hockey.
Well,
I don't know.
I get the marriage of fashion, culture, and hockey. I just think you're trying to make the game more accessible, make it affordable. It's already a very non-affordable sport to play. We just talked about the finances in Winnipeg, and they're having issues. Hockey tickets are expensive.
Yes,
hockey jerseys are expensive. The Fanatics game jerseys are like $400. The NHL just released a collaboration with Lululemon, and we all know how much I love Lululemon. Lululemon is not affordable, so they're we have this partnership. We had the Ruigi thing here in Arizona. We have the Lululemon collab, the Fanatics jerseys, and it's like you're trying to. I get it. I actually really do get.
I do get
bringing in fashion. You're trying to reach a whole market of people. I think that's something that the NBA and the NFL do really well. But you got to make it affordable, and that's my biggest concern.
Yeah, and that's a little tongue in cheek with my. I come at this from. I follow hockey because of hockey. I like hockey because of hockey. I love the game. I'm more of a purist of the game. And so when I see something like this, knowing that a franchise is spending money hiring a fashion consultant / designer, I get frustrated because I like to see that money spent more in hockey operations and trying to help your team win.
And it's just like, again, we all shudder because we've seen it.
We've seen it run poorly.
Yeah,
we've seen it where the fashion and the brand became more important than the team itself. And that's where it went sideways. That's not going to happen in Pittsburgh. I do think the Geiger collaboration with him being local, I think it'll be more of a marriage than it was a total separation like you saw here in Arizona. I think it will be a part of what they do. So I'm all teasing, but we'll see how it goes having another team with a fashion designer.
Well, speaking of the decision to have a fashion designer, we can't talk about that without talking about the Meruelos. So here's your trigger warning. We're going to talk about Alex Meruelo, but so Alex Meruelo is trying to build an arena again. I don't know if you heard. We've talked about this a little bit because we've talked about the Tucson Roadrunners and we've talked about the arena project that the Meruelo group has in Reno, Nevada. And the whole expectation, and Craig has come on the show and said this, is that the Tucson Roadrunners, once their lease is up in Tucson, would then move to Reno to play in the new arena that Alex Meruelo is building. Well, an article came out yesterday on the News 4 site for the Reno area. And this is what it said. Developers behind a massive arena project at Reno's Grand Sierra Resort, owned by Alex Meruelo, intend to ask the city of Reno for public financing to help pay for the project. A change from previous comments from UNR President Brian Sandoval that no public funding would be used. Sound familiar? A privately funded project, arena project, don't worry, we'll pay for it. All of a sudden, kind of changing its tune. Does this sound familiar? So they are asking for a tax increment financing to support the $1 billion development. The arena would be home to Nevada's men's basketball team and a potential AHL hockey team owned by Alex Meruelo. It would be a 10,000-seat arena, a satellite ice rink, a dedicated parking garage, fan zone, workforce housing, and more. Sound familiar again? It's just crazy to see this back in the news. And it's funny that we talked so much about the Meruelo and Roadrunners today and that whole situation. His whole vision is to make the move to Reno with his AHL team that he still owns despite losing the Coyotes to Utah. And he's struggling to build an arena for the third time.
Yeah, but Leah, there's going to be no public funds. They're going to build it. I swear I heard that. Wait, what happened? So this is the same thing we've seen over and over again. And it's funny because we talked about this when we talked after the Coyotes left and moved and went on their way. We said, well, he's just going to move the Tucson Roadrunners to Reno because he's got business interests there. He's building an arena there. And at that time, I swear, I thought he was building an arena there. Like shovels in the ground, poles up. I thought they had started building. I swear I did. Now we sit here, how many ever months later, and it's not started. Not only is it not started, if you're familiar with the process here in the Arizona area, from this point where you start asking for those funds until you're able to actually get a process going, year and a half? Like the land studies, it's got to go to committees, potentially a vote at some time. This is going to take at least 6 months to a year. And then that's before you start building. So when we're sitting here talking about the Tucson Roadrunners moving to Reno, how are they going to play? They're not playing in this building. They ain't going to be ready in 2 years. So I'm surprised, not surprised. Like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised, but it's hard because like you could hear that and say, well, maybe this means that they just stay in Tucson. But I feel, and this is based on nothing I know, yeah. I'm just saying what my gut is that he's going to give up and walk away from his ownership of the Roadrunners as well. And potentially it's something that the Smith Group acquires as part of their deal. They would eventually then move that team to Utah as well. I don't think this ends well for Tucson either way, unfortunately, as much as it pains me to say that. But it's just like laughable that we're like this story is repeating itself.
So Nick Nelson
just in another state
says he'll get it done because of the city relationships. It is a different
tongue in cheek.
But having said that, Reno is different than Phoenix.
Yes.
It's a different market. It's a different area. I don't know the politics and his relationship with the politicians there. I mean, he's been a businessman there that owns a casino that brings revenue and jobs and things already to that area. I don't know. Maybe it is something that can get done. But even if it can get done, it's still a long way away. I just think it's not surprising for us that have been through the Alex Meruelo arena search before, knowing that this is a problem. And when you talk about having a hockey team, moving a franchise to Reno, if it were to happen that Tucson moves to Reno, it doesn't mean you're moving the affiliation along with it. And that's the biggest concern. The affiliation, meaning the players that actually play there, the affiliation is with the Utah Hockey Club. Those players are paid by Utah. The contracts are paid by Utah. Alex Meruelo Sr. is not paying those players. So if he moves the franchise to Reno, I don't believe at all that the Utah Hockey Club is going to move their players and their affiliation to Reno. I believe that they will move that affiliation and their players to Utah.
And the Reno team would just be a new team?
Well,
or
and then
that's
here becomes
affiliated
an issue.
With someone
so
else?
Reno has a franchise now, but they don't have any players. And then you have to get an affiliate. So now you have to go to all the NHL teams and go that already have affiliates at other places and go, hey, do you want to bring your affiliate with me? I'm Alex Meruelo. You remember me? Do you want to have your team play for a team that I own? You know what the answer is going to be?
You think Alex Meruelo has a good reputation in the hockey world?
No. I don't believe that he's going to get another affiliation from another NHL team. So that means he has to be an independent. To be an independent, you have to be like Chicago, which means you have to pay your own players. To do that, you have to overpay those players. And that costs a lot of money. One thing we have seen from Alex Meruelo Sr. is his inability to pay a lot of money for literally anything. I don't think they can become an independent. So this is going to get muddier and messier before it becomes more clear. There you go.
Oy, that's all I have to say to that situation, honestly. I guess we'll keep our eye on it. We obviously will follow Tucson's future, whatever happens there. But for now, they're here. So we want to support them while
Mini
they're
donuts.
in Arizona. Yeah, mini donuts.
Get there for the mini donuts. We will be going down at some point. We haven't finalized the schedule yet, but I tell you, this crew would be there, and we would. By the way, bring cash. It's cash only.
Bring cash.
Cash only at the mini donut stand.
Petey, you know what I'm ready for?
I do not know.
To put something a little extra on it.
Are you going a little?
Yeah, because I got the normal one. They're fantastic.
You think you're ready?
They're unbelievable. But I also have like the sweetest tooth ever. So
are you chocolate or are you vanilla?
I'm chocolate.
Okay. See, I'm vanilla. So
we're both vanilla.
So I did the vanilla swirl.
But I like chocolate.
I put all the swirls. Mistake.
Yeah.
So if you go just one,
also,
you'll make it.
Don't recommend the pumpkin spice.
Yeah, do not.
Really?
It was mid.
That's disappointing.
It was
so disappointing.
Yeah.
Stay away from the pumpkin.
I'm sorry.
I'm a huge pumpkin.
Me too.
Fan.
Me too.
Love it and everything. Didn't work.
It's like it tastes like
I don't know if it's the
if
spice
someone whispered pumpkin to you.
Yeah. And no matter how much I poured on, it was like covered in nothing.
I like how you pantomime whispered with like a shout.
I know.
No, it's like
I miss doing our show.
Me too.
It's a lot of fun.
Me too. It's a lot of fun.
People
like I mentioned, we're gonna have some more events upcoming. We had so much fun at our takeover. We have another takeover planned for February. There's tons of events across all the other sports. The community here in Arizona is really strong, and I like that it gets to cross all sports. The sun season starts today. We have an event on Friday at Gila to watch that game. Cannot wait. We also have another event coming up. The weather is finally taking a turn for the better here in Arizona. It's a great time to get out and golf. And we have a golf tournament coming up with the CHGO Bears guys. They're coming to town, and our friends from Big Drive Energy are also coming to town. The All-City Desert Duel Golf Tournament is November 2nd at the Raven. As we said, our friends from CHGO will be on town as the Cards host the Bears, and diehards from both markets will be in attendance. There's tee times from 8:15 to 10:45, and the package includes a tee time, a cart, lunch at the turn, a goodie bag. You can get your tickets right now at gophnx.com/events. Shane is going to be there. It's going to be a blast.
That sounds fun.
And we love to get together with our friends from other markets. They're great guys. So
that's pretty fun.
If you're looking to get some golf in when the weather is really nice, the first weekend of November, check it out. And speaking of our friends around the network, can we talk about the What Chaos merch? If any of you missed this merch drop from What Chaos, Shane actually wore his shirt yesterday. You should have worn it today. Well, I guess he's wearing a sun shirt today. He wore it already. That's how fast it came. This merch from What Chaos and Just Edition
high quality.
is so good. Yeah, like the shirt quality is unbelievable. I'm gonna order one. They have hoodies. They also have like giant chains. They have a bright pink hat. Shane ordered that one too. The merch is fantastic. So definitely check it out. Support our friends. You can grab the merch right now at justedition.com.
Just go look at it.
It's phenomenal.
Who is the model?
You
know who the model is?
Gene
Principe.
Yeah.
From the Edmonton Oilers broadcast. Fire.
The shirt was so good that I ordered a hat also. I ordered the pink hat. So I'm very excited for that.
I'm getting better. I've talked to my friends there, and I'm better. Just saying.
You could also
no employee discount.
You could also check it out, store.allcitynetwork.com, where you can shop the merch across the entire network,
great show,
including great show. And Petey makes weekly appearances on there.
It's fun.
Yeah. So if you're looking for since our show's only once a week, if you're looking for your daily hockey fix, check out What Chaos. If you're looking maybe to see what's going on in the other sports, check out our friends around the league in Denver, Chicago, Philly, and Dallas. And potentially more on the horizon. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, it's great times here
it is great times.
At All City.
The All City Network.
Make sure you're supporting our hockey family all around the network, and of course our former producer Sean DePaz, current.
Yes.
He's also had modeled some of the merch as well, so you can check that out on What Chaos's Instagram.
Really?
On their Instagram. I know you don't go on Instagram.
I don't.
It's okay.
Right.
Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I do want to say one last sentence because I know we're up against it here. Hockey fans in the desert that want to see NHL hockey, hang in there. Hang in there. There's rumblings and rumors and whispers. So just hang in there. It's not today. It's not tomorrow. Hang in there.
All right. I like that. We'll leave it with that. Thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill.
Do you guys like pumpkin pie?
At Shane Deef. I love pumpkin pie.
Do you like pumpkin pie?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. So someone asked that in the chat, so I wanted to get that answer.
Okay. I'm sorry I missed
Paul
it.
asked that in the chat.
Human.
I do love pumpkin pie. Paul.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Okay.
I get pumpkin pie fatigue a little bit though. I don't get pumpkin flavored fatigue, but pumpkin pie you can only have like a slice a week.
No, you can't. All in.
Really?
True.
Okay,
We
that's
made,
fair.
yeah.
All
Pumpkin
right.
desserts
You
are
can
coming.
follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_hockey. Make sure you subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel, and make sure you subscribe to PHNX Hockey wherever you get your podcasts. We have weekly audio-only episodes resuming this week on Fridays, so make sure you check that out. Join us in our Discord. Hit us up on Twitter. We're a big hockey family here. Hockey belongs in the desert. We love you all very, very much. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, everybody, and we will talk to you all soon.
We all silly like the mayor.